Hey folks, Peter here. Today we're going to do a video on electric football. If you're unsure what electric football is, it is a game, a hobby, a sport for some even, where they take these little figures and put them on a metal field and try to play football. Today I'm not really going to get into any of the aspects behind the scenes of what goes into these and what people do to make them play better, but we're just going to kind of go over some of the general rules and variations that people do in this game. So as you guys can see here, this is the playing field. This is a bit of a smaller board, a little bit of an older one, but it works pretty well, especially for what I'm going to do in this video. Got all of our players down here, kind of scattered about, separated by teams. Got some Eagles here and Raiders over there. So one of the first things I would like to point out about this is you don't actually have to be a big football fan or even a football fan at all to fully appreciate this game. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of football. I don't follow all the teams. I don't know every rule to the game. I don't remember when the Cowboys and the Eagles played in '93. I don't know any of that stuff. I don't even know if they play each other. That's how little I know about football. But I definitely enjoy this right here, this game. I think it's a game. Other people find it as a hobby, a big pastime. They spend countless hours working on their teams. They call themselves coaches. They get pretty in-depth. To some, it is a sport. There are competitions out there, and you know they have a go at it. So what you saw earlier was this player here on this base with these little prongs placed on this metal field, and when the motor is turned on, that player moves. Now, based on what you do with these prongs, and even more in depth, the weighting of the player, the positioning on the base, forward, back, left, right, that's going to determine how it moves, how fast it moves, how strong it is, what kind of patterns it can run, and just overall its ability to play the game. You don't have to get super in depth with that. I'm just trying to cover some bases here with this. So this player here is on a base where I can actually turn this dial a little bit. I can turn it a lot, but pretty much you just want to turn it a little bit and you can make it run to the right, run to the left. You can have it run in circles if you really want. There's tons of options. You can pretty much make these guys do whatever you want. So how is this game played? Well, just like football, you have your 4 downs and you start at one end and you try to get to the other end to score some points. The defensive team is trying to stop you from doing that in those 4 downs. The downs basically are number of turns that you would get if you want to think of it that way. And every 4 downs you have to move 10 yards. Once you move 10 yards, you get a new fresh set of turns. Of course, there are rules here on a bigger field especially. Not so much on this one. I kind of make things up on these smaller tables. But teams consist of 11 players, both offense and defense, and then you line up in formations, knowing what your players can do, and you try to score the ball or stop the team from scoring. How do you move the football? Well, at the start of the play, you have yourself your quarterback. They usually start out the play with the ball, and they can try to throw it to somebody downfield. They can hand it off to someone, and they can try to run the ball as far as they can get it. Or they can just move themselves if you want to go that way. To block those players, you're going to need somebody on defense guarding those guys that are running for a pass. You might have somebody that is trying to block the runner and stop them from getting as many yards as they can. Or maybe you just want to try tackling the quarterback. So these are just basics of the game, and you can tweak all of these players, those bases, the prongs, the weight of the figures, how their looks. Like you see how this guy has his arms wide open, and this guy on offense over here, see how he's got his arms in kind of tight. These are all things that factor in to making your players, making your team. You don't have to get that in depth. The options are pretty much endless if you want to think of it that way. Now, how does the quarterback get the ball to the different players so they can move downfield? Well, one option is this guy right here. This is kind of a basic version. This is the triple threat quarterback. You can pass, you can punt, and kick field goals. Here's a little kicking action for you right there. Oh, did you see that? See how he kind of kicks his leg there? And you put little foam footballs on there. I don't have any right now. I should probably get some. But this is one method. And what you would do, if you want to throw a pass, you would take your quarterback out, stop the board, replace it with this guy. And what you do is you use this little handle here, and you have to keep it down on the board, but then you put the football in his hand and flick it, and if it hits your receiver, it's a catch. If it hits the other guy, that's an interception. Hits the ground, obviously incomplete pass, so on and so forth. Another common method that is used is what is known as passing sticks. Again, I don't have any right now, but I do have this little down marker, like a field marker here. And what you basically do is this would simulate throwing a pass in front of your receiver. So let's say I was going right there. You throw the ball, a little more realistic, because you don't instantly throw the ball and have the player catch it. You throw in front of the player and he has to run to catch it. So you'd set up something like this, and based on the distance from the quarterback to the receiver, there's different measuring sticks, and that depends on how far away you put this passing stick. But you do something like this, and see if he touches it. So he did touch it, but this other guy hit him before he touched it. If you get into the rules, that could be something like a pass interference, which is not allowed, or just an incomplete pass. Depends on what you're doing. The last method that people do for making passes in this game is they will actually take like a 6-sided die, and they'll have a sheet with the grid, different options, different outcomes. Like let's say you roll a 1, that's an interception. 2 and 3 are an incomplete pass. Maybe 4 is an interception, and then 5 and 6 is a catch. Just as an example. And there actually are kits out there that help you set up simulations like that with dice kits and the different charts, probably different outcomes. Like if it's a 5-yard pass, like let's say my quarterback was here and my receiver was just right here. Just like a short little pitch, like a little short pass. You'd probably have it maybe 4, 5, and 6 is a catch. 1, 2, 3 is an incomplete. Maybe if you're a little further out, maybe it's just 5 and 6. Or if you're going for Hail Mary way out here, maybe that would just be you have to roll a 6 is a catch, 1 and 2 are an interception, and 3, 4, 5 are an incomplete pass. Something like that, just as an example. Exciting stuff. Now, if you were to run a running play where you hand off the ball to a runner, pretty much all you do there is you just say, I'm giving the ball to the runner, or the runner starts out with the ball at the start of the play before it even goes, depending on who you play with, whatever rules you've set up and agreed to. But you would just say, like this guy here is number 32, so you would say 32 has the ball on a run play, so your opponents know that they have to adjust their players to go after him instead of the quarterback. If you hit the quarterback after the handoff, or whenever the quarterback doesn't have the ball, I'm pretty sure there's some rules against that in the actual game of football. So again, if you're making up these rules as you go along, maybe you want it set up where like, hey, you hit my quarterback, that's an illegal play, I get an extra 5 yards and first down. We're getting pretty technical now with this. Pretty much that's the basic rules of how to get the ball to the players to move downfield. Now we have to go over some guidelines for tackles. So what counts as a tackle? Again, depending on the league that you're playing in, what rules you're going by, so on and so forth, that's going to change. Now some do it where you have to tackle with the front of the base and you can hit any part of the base whatsoever. There are other people that do it where if you are on offense and you touch any part of another player in the side, that counts as a tackle, but not from the back, because obviously he's going away from him, so that doesn't really count. And that's pretty much all there is to tackling. You just need to make contact between the bases, like so, and that would be a tackle. That would be a tackle. That would have been a tackle. Did you guys see a touch there? And that's pretty much the basics for tackling. So how do you score in the game of electric football? Well, this area here at the end of the field and down on the other side, those are called the end zones. So one way to score would be if this guy had the ball, all he has to do is cross over that line. And I think pretty much every league is just any part of that base crosses that line. As long as you cross the plane, just like in football, that counts as a touchdown. Others, you might actually have to have the feet of the players if you want to get really technical, but that's just getting really picky there. Another way to score would be if you had a receiver in the end zone already and you completed a pass to them, that would be a touchdown. Once the touchdown is done, you get 6 points. You can get an extra point, kicking into something like this right here. This would be a little field goal. This one doesn't fit in here too well. I don't even think this is for this board, but so you'd have your little field goal there, and you take this guy here, try to kick your field goal. If it goes between the uprights, that's an extra point. You can obviously go for 2 if you want, where you would have to do the same thing again, just like you would with the touchdown, but then you only get 2 points. So that's it, folks. That is some of the basics of the game. How to play, how to score, how to do some passing, different options there. Hopefully you can find something that you like for your league or your players, and just have fun with it. That's the main goal. That's the main thing, really, is just have fun with it. Some people do obviously take it very seriously, but just, you know, it's something to put a smile on your face at the end of the day. Hopefully you guys found this video interesting and very informative. If you did, make sure to like the video, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be making some more of these videos really soon. Have a nice day, everybody.